Daniel Brito, also known as Fancy Dan, has been affiliated with the Enforcers. His abilities include an expert martial artist and skilled marksman.
Daniel Brito was born in Brooklyn, New York. Along with Montana and Ox, also known as Raymond Block, he was a founding member of the Enforcers.
He has great proficiency with judo and karate. Fancy Dan and the original Enforcers, Montana and Ox, were first seen under the employ of the big man, Frederick Foswell.
During this time, they have their first run-in with their longtime nemesis, Spider-Man, but Spider-Man defeats the trio. Over the next couple of years, Fancy Dan and the team would be employed by Lightmaster in one of his many schemes, again bringing them into conflict with Spider-Man with similar results.
They would then lend their services to Techmaster in his revenge plot against Harry S. Osgood, only to be defeated by Dazzler. Fancy Dan and the team would also go up against She-Hulk at one point.
Following the Superhuman Registration Act incident, Fancy Dan, Ox, and Montana joined up with Hood's organization. With the Enforcers being some of many of the supercriminal patrons at the bar with no name, they take bets with a person calling himself the Bookie over whether Spider-Man will show up to battle Basher, an unknown criminal who claims to have fought Spider-Man.
Spider-Man does show up for the confrontation, but Fancy Dan was the first to suspect something was afoot. He states that Spider-Man's butt is too big and is roundly mocked for looking at the man's butt.
Fancy Dan is proven right when the true Spider-Man does show up several minutes later, and that the imposter is Screwball in disguise. The Enforcers decide to get revenge on the Bookie, capturing it.
The Bookie's father calls Spider-Man for assistance, and he agrees to help. Spider-Man defeats Fancy Dan and Montana.
Fancy Dan joins the Kingpin in Shadowland as he becomes his right-hand man. Later, Fancy Dan was seen as part of Black Cat's gang.
He was involved in their heist until the Avengers intervened. Fancy Dan, Black Cat, and Kingpin's former minion Janus Jardish evaded capture.
Fancy Dan is a skilled martial artist, and he is an expert in karate and judo. He is also a skilled marksman, specifically sharpshooting and knife throwing.
Alexander Bont has been affiliated with the New York City criminal underground. His partnerships include the Gladiator and the Fixer. His notable aliases include the Kingpin. His abilities include being highly intelligent and extreme strength when on mutant growth hormone. He was most notably the Kingpin of crime before Wilson Fisk.
Alexander Bont first made a name for himself when he killed the hero known as the Defender. After that, he soon rose up the ranks and became the head of organized crime. The Fixer, the man who ordered the hit on Jack Murdock, paid up to Bont.
When Daredevil found this out, he confronted Bont and got him arrested. Eventually, Bont was released.
He later asked Matt Murdock for legal help, but was refused. When he got out, he paid a visit to the Gladiator, who had worked for Bont in the past.
He ordered Potter to kill Daredevil. The Gladiator attacked Daredevil but was defeated.
Daredevil found out that Bont had hired him and told Bont that he'd see him in jail for this. Bont was found guilty and sent to prison.
When Bont was released from jail, he was now a bitter old man. He acquired a possession of mutant growth hormone.
The world had changed a lot in his absence. Places had changed and his wife died while he was imprisoned.
Furious, Bont set out to get revenge on Daredevil. He met up with Melvin Potter again, who refused to work with him.
Bont threatened him with the death of his daughter. Potter kidnapped Matt Murdock and was forced to beat him while Bont videotaped it.
He then dragged Matt out to show the public, claiming revenge for Matt not representing him years prior.
When the new White Tiger arrived on the scene and defeated Melvin Potter, Bont took some MGH and threw Matt into a window, savagely beating him and telling him that this was where his father was killed.
However, the action coupled with the overdose of MGH proved to be too much for Bont. His heart exploded, killing him.